Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about the importance of prioritizing our weak links. And I will use myself as a demonstration. You guys will see a recent max effort bench I did with 65 pounds of band tension. And you guys will notice, obviously, we know my triceps are a weak link in my benching. So you notice as I get it up, I start to grind near the end against the bands, which is normal for me. Lockouts are weak. So the band work really brings that out and highlights it. All right, so we see that a lot because I'm having to lock 380 right there through the whole top half of the movement. So what do I do to deal with it? Obviously, I make close grip bench pressing a priority, but that really hits chest more than triceps. I do a ton of JM presses. I'm doing tricep rollouts, right? Rolling extensions. Why? All that stuff really hammers the lateral and medial head of the tricep, which is the weak link in my bench press. That really impacts the lockout on your bench a lot. It affects you at the bottom too, but it really impacts the lockout. And I have different weak links on different exercises, and I prioritize them accordingly. But I chose the bench today because most guys, even non-power lifters, care about their bench, right? Most guys out there want to put another 30 pounds on their bench. I don't care what you train for. So it's an easy one for us to discuss, even though really I'm better at squatting and deadlifting than I am at benching. The bench is actually my weakest link even out of my big three. So I'm actually prioritizing that even with my training, right? And that's a point that needs to be made when we come over and talk about weak point training. How about you prioritize your weakest lift slightly more? At least 50%, if not 60% of my weekly training is geared towards improving my bench. Only 40 to 50% is dedicated to my squatting and deadlifting. And all three of those lifts, the supplemental work to bring them up and to bring up their weak links, take a priority. So why do we prioritize our weak links? People will oftentimes say, well, shouldn't we be making everything grow? Well, of course we should. Right? We should be hitting our minimum effective volume on pretty much every muscle in our body. If our goal is to get stronger, we need to get bigger. Every muscle in your body will contribute to your strength potential if you make it grow. Right? This is understood. If every muscle in your body grew 30%, you would be dramatically stronger on every single exercise that you do, no matter what it is. Every exercise will improve. Your max will improve, your 10 rep max will improve, your 1 rep max will improve, everything will improve across the board. It's understood. The problem is that when it comes to prioritizing things, let's talk about that for a bit. If we put extra focus on our weak links, we make everything else grow. That's a point that people miss. All right, for example, if for me, the triceps are a weak link in my bench press, doesn't that affect all of my pressing? Let me stop and think about that. I do a lot of different work to bring up all my muscles, right? I do a lot of close grip pressing. I do tons of speed bench against bands, different bars using it. Those are major mass builders for my pecs and my front delts. Those are what I do for my pecs and front delts. Okay. If my triceps are the weak link on the movements I'm using to bring up my pecs and front delts, that means my workload might be 2% lower than it could be. Okay, so like right now, you guys saw me over here doing sets of 10 with 245 on the close grip. All right. If my triceps are my weak link in my pressing, if my triceps got stronger and I could do 255 for sets of 10 instead of 245, what would happen to my pecs and my front delts? They would probably grow faster. So what's the key in this case to making my pecs and front delts grow faster? Is to work on my triceps. Because the exercises I use just to build those muscles, because they're not necessarily the weak links, so they just get general hypertrophy training and general use and speed work and rep work, right? Because we do speed work and we do rep work for everything if we're running the sort of system I run. So the JM presses I'm doing here, trying to PR all the time on JM press and JM press variations. getting stronger at my rep work. Well, that'll bring up the triceps. Well, if that improves my close grip bench, and everything improves, right? All those muscles involved in the close grip improve if I fix that weak link, because I make the whole exercise stronger. What about my benching? All right, if I put another 10 pounds on my max bench, that means all my speed work is going to be 5 pounds heavier, which also is a ton of my hypertrophy. And if my triceps are the weak link keeping me from adding that next 10 pounds to my bench, if I can get 5 more pounds onto my speed work, because we work out percentages of our max, and maintain the same bar speeds and explosiveness, also going to get more growth. Do you understand that? That as we bring up the weakest links, it affects all of our lifts. It's the same thing. What if your hamstrings are the weak link in all of your pulling? Okay, what if all of your deadlifting, your sumo deadlift, your conventional deadlift, your deficit deadlift, what if your hamstrings are the biggest weak link in your body? Think of all the exercises that you do to build a lot of your back. All your good mornings. I don't care whether you do good mornings, Romanian deadlifts, deficit deadlifts, snatch grip deadlifts, right? All these movements that you use to build your glutes, your rectors, even your upper back. Okay, if your hamstrings are holding you back as your weak link in your big lifts, don't you think your hamstrings are holding you back on those exercises too? And if you can prioritize building your hamstrings, what's going to happen to all your other lifts? Everything is going to get stronger, because the hamstrings are the weak link. That's what's limiting your ability to put tension on all of your muscles on these big movements, because the hamstring is the weak link in the chain. So if you prioritize hamstring training, what's going to happen? Your back's going to grow. Back's going to grow. Also, if hamstrings are a weak link, aren't you at a higher risk of injury on some of your squatting? You're more likely to get knee inflammation on your squatting. If you get knee inflammation on your squatting, you're going to have to do less squatting volume. Right? Or you're going to have to deload your squatting more often, because you're going to be more prone to knee inflammation due to being anterior dominant. What's that going to do to your quad and hip development? It's going to impact it because of your hamstrings. So if you make hamstring training a priority, it removes this muscle imbalance, right? It's an important dynamic stabilizer, an agonist muscle for your quads. It's important, and that's going to affect your squatting. It's going to affect your speed squatting, could affect your sumo deadlifting. All right, that's going to affect all these other muscles. Having that weak link is going to affect your ability to overload using the big multi-joint exercises that you're using for rep work, speed work, or whatever other methods you were using. You're going to limit yourself. If you prioritize the hamstrings, you will make everything get bigger and stronger. Okay, and this is what I mean about why we prioritize weak links. We prioritize our weak links because it makes us grow overall faster. Because those weak links in the chain, I don't care whether it's your hamstrings, your delts, your triceps, your hips, your quads, whatever is holding you back on your big lifts and on your max effort lifts. If you see it come out on a max effort lift, you know it's a weak link. You know it's a weak link in your whole kinetic chain. And weak links in our kinetic chain, number one, predispose us to injury. Number two, they hold back our overall progress. Because if you strengthen a weak link 10%, 12% to where it's no longer a weak link, you get stronger as a whole, and you can overload the entire system more. The fastest way to get bigger and stronger quicker is to put more effort into your weakest links. You prioritize them in terms of recovery. You prioritize them in terms of training volume, and you will get bigger and stronger faster with less injuries and less inflammation. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.